just after breakfast. So you guys, unfortunately, did not get any chance to sleep. Yeah, you don't get any of your daily powers back. You don't get any of your action points back if you spent any. You don't regain healing surges. And in fact, everyone's going to have to make endurance checks or they're going to lose healing surge. So make an endurance check at... let's see, you guys were fighting. You were roughing it up. You're pretty active, so... Make an endurance check at, let's say, DC 18. If you pass, you only lose 1 healing surge. If you fail, you lose 2.
Are these ones in the bottom are current ones? Oh, brutal.
Yikes. Valhalla. You lose 3.
Starting the game off right. Great.
Yes, the ones on the bottom are your current ones. Crit fail for Valhalla right out of the gate. At least it's over and done with, but you lose 3 healing surges. So Valhalla's extra exhausted.
Oh, I should roll my my new bump.
Oh, please do.
I always assume that you don't want us to roll them right away. Like we should finish like the session before we roll at new bump points.
Yes. At the end of the session or the start of the next session is the best time. What number did you get?
96.
96, way up at the end. So 96 is spend over 20,000 gold on a non-equipment purchase.
Wow.
That's easy. Just take the gold in the kingdom and spend it on, I don't know, saving the king.
Well, my other bump point is treat an NPC to a lavish meal. So I guess I could spend 20,000 gold on a meal for an NPC.
Holy shit, that's lavish as balls right there.
I guess I could like eat a person.
Yeah, eat a unicorn. Valhalla needs unicorn horn anyway.
All right.
All right. So speaking of meals, you've just wrapped up breakfast here at the castle. You're all sitting around, sipping the strong black imported coffee that the ships bring in from the counterweight continent across the sea. And you're all a little bit groggy, a little bit slow. Some of the other characters have stepped away from the table to either do some calisthenics or grab a cold shower or yell at the servants, whatever's going to help them wake themselves up. A brief prayer somewhere on a prayer mat in the case of Hatim. But the king is there. He is looking groggy as well, having stayed up all night long. But one of his underlings comes up to him and hands him some sheafs of paper, which he looks at and he says, "Good, good, thank you, thank you." And then he waves that guy away, so as not to be overheard. But he says, "Okay, since this business started with Kingfisher, I've had my men kind of dig up any information we have on the man himself, try and learn as much as I can about this guy." And it's difficult because, as it turns out, all of the best spies that we have in the kingdom work for Marks, and they all seem to be away, sent out on another mission, which he kind of has a wry smile about. He said, which I can only assume is they're looking into trying to find out who I really am. So he gives Ellie a little bit of a wink and says, I just hope they never go down to Two Oaks, eh?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That place.
Anyway, he says, information we have on Brillig Kingfisher here is that he's actually a pretty big wheel. He's the most powerful out of the 3 kind of organized crime families that run the docks and the surrounding work areas. The docks really are owned by Kingfisher and the Brewer boys, 2 brothers, who kind of they have an unsteady alliance and a truce about what goods and what areas of the docks that they each control and different responsibilities and stuff like that. But anyway, Brillig himself has been he was born and raised in Lufa, so he knows the town quite well. He's been here forever. Grew up down there on the docks. His father was a shipbuilder, and his mother was like a bar servant person, but he got with the previous organized crime people and kind of worked his way up the ladder until he gained a seat of power, and he was able to leverage it into his own little empire by the time he was a grown man. So the other information that we have here is that two members of his family are still around, his wife Victoria and his daughter Belle. But his son, his oldest son, Lance, has been sent away on, he left a month ago on the ship Goodwind, sent off to do some type of exploration or probably some mission of goodwill for his father. We do have here interesting, in the time that his son has been away, there has been several people who have been called to the house who, now that my spies have had a chance to do a little bit more digging and information gathering, turns out that they are doctors and several wizards who specialize in magical disease.
That is interesting.
Kingfisher himself is quite powerful and quite wealthy. Very easily could have cobbled together the full amount to pay for the assassination. It would have cost him some holdings and some favors to be called in, but it could have been done.
But Kingfisher didn't know about the assassination.
The king looks a little bit perplexed. He says, "Really? Then why? What? Then what's going on here? If you don't think Kingfisher is involved in the assassination, why did Arwen arrest him?"
Well, that's a bit of a mystery to me as well. But essentially what happened is Arwen saw him. Kingfisher was... Oh, yeah. Kingfisher bought a bag of... I guess we still have it, right? We still have the... Oh, no, we just have the one.
Yeah.
Well, Kingfisher bought a...
And I don't even have the one.
Right, we don't... Unbeknownst... Well, Elliot surmises that Arwen still has one of them. Anyways.
I don't remember if she came clean at the end of the last session. I don't think she did.
She wasn't there. So, no.
Yeah.
So, Arwen saw Kingfisher buying a bag of these devil stones from Mark's. And I'll describe this. Was there a name for the stones that we remembered?
No, not really.
The stones for use. If you have them, they're currency to buy favors from the devil. So, she saw Kingfisher buy these stones from Mark's. Now, which in itself is suspicious, but not particularly illegal. But she feels that her paladin status gives her the authority to do whatever she wants all the time. So she grabbed him and started to interrogate him with torture. None of us are cool with that.
Yeah, the king looks a little like, ooh. Well, it's no surprise that Marks and Kingfisher have, deals going on constantly, right? There's, underhanded stuff, and he pays to be given certain leeways legally in and around the city. But he never really causes that much fuss, right? The occasional miscreant will go missing, but he takes care of himself, and as long as he doesn't really rock the boat, we don't have a big problem with what he's doing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, it's good business sense for him to keep quiet. But what I find interesting is that if he and Marks have dealings, then we may be able to apply pressure to get some leverage on Marks for get some evidence on his criminal activity.
Right, yeah. The more things that we can kind of prove underhanded that Mark's doing, we can discredit him more, and that's good. I like that.
So... what we were thinking was, since Graham, is it going to be wrong for me to let Johnny in on the plan, or should we just surprise him?
I don't think there's anything wrong with letting him know the plan. I mean, it's going to get to the point where you have to explain part of it anyway, just for placement of bodies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The more I think about it, the more I think you're right about Murgatroyd shouldn't be there. The main reason I wanted Murgatroyd to be there was so that he could get his stuff quickly, right? Like in my head, I saw it going down like the trade, and they would just drop his shit at his feet, kind of thing, and then we'd spring it.
Right. But no, I don't think. I think if anything, they're just gonna either attack him again. Plus, you know, they weren't really friendly to him in the first place.
True.
I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I'm thinking like like an optimistic writer.
Yeah. So who should go in then?
I think just you and Hitim.
I'm down with that.
And the rest of us are okay. So
and the two of them with us, right?
Yeah. I think they're what's going to get you in the doors.
Right.
And fortunately for us, we know like the side entrances now, like through the stables and that door that I exited through into the alley to run away. I don't know if you were there for that.
I was not.
So, if the king is the king back, John?
Yep, king's back.
Okay, so what we're thinking is since that was a pretty big deception on Arwen's part, like we could, and tensions are difficult in the group right now. We'll go full Return of the Jedi on this thing, and make like the group is done. Valhalla and Hitim, who untied Kingfisher when Arwen had him all trussed up, will take Arwen and Jack to Kingfisher as like prisoners with the last stone that we shorted him unknowingly, and say like, we've had enough of these two. Here we're gonna give you these two and the stone in return for the dwarf's gear and just truce between us.
Right. So I'm just gonna. You guys don't. You know that there's supposed to be 88 stones, but nobody's mentioned how many stones are missing.
No, it's just that he put 88 on Murgatroyd.
Right.
And yeah, I guess we don't know how many so I shouldn't say the last stone. I should say I should give the two of them and whatever stones they might have.
Right. Okay. Good.
And I suppose it's probably wrong to, because of our relationship, it's probably not wrong to let you in on this. Just, culpability and all. But I think whenever this kind of thing goes down, I'll help sponsor a big meal for your guards for their trouble, so that you and your guards can be in one kind of safe place with you ingratiating yourself with them while we go cause a ruckus on the other side of town.
King says that's a very good idea. I like having an alibi, especially one where I can be surrounded by guards, because we still think that this assassination plot is a thing that's going to happen, right?
Yeah, I'm every. This is partly why I'm so frustrated with this business with Kingfisher. Is I keep trying to plan for preventing the assassination and making strikes on the Leviathan, but we keep getting wrenches thrown into the mix, and I have to account for new things and keeping you protected and actively plotting against the assassination attempt.
He just nods. Yep.
So yeah.
He says, yeah, being a king, it's a lot of balls in the air. He kind of takes a moment to look out the window to where the armory is, and he licks the tips of his fingers and rubs his thumb across the end of them and looks back at you, and he said, it's not admitting defeat. It's not like we're saying we lose.
No, but I think if it comes to that, then that's still like that option hasn't gone anywhere, right?
It's true. The guards are still there. The chests haven't moved. That's a lot of gold. He looks at Valhalla too, and he says, we talked about this, and it's a lot of gold.
It's a lot of gold.
And that we did. You didn't seem too keen on our negotiations, however.
Well, the more squirrely things are getting around here. Besides, it looks like that you guys might be dropping 2 teammates. Oh, hey, Jack. Oh, is Josh on Mumble yet?
Yo,
Hey. So yeah, the king kind
hands
of
are full.
catches himself for a minute there, and then says, "Oh, hey, Jack. Good morning. Nice to see you." Yes.
Need breakfast.
Make an endurance check for me, please, Jack. DC 18. If you fail, you lose 2 healing surges. If you succeed, you only lose 1. Fail, so please lose 2 healing surges. You are feeling rough. You're like, up all night.
Healing Murgatroyd, I guess.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, now that the king sees Jack, he gets up from the table and he just eyeballs Val and Elliot, and he just says, just keep it in the back of your mind. He kind of wipes some crumbs from the corner of his mouth and deposits the napkin on the table, and then finds his way back inside the castle.
Very good.
So before he leaves,
Oh, you had more stuff to tell him. Okay.
I just wanted to ask him. So that's the extent of the dirt. Is the his son Lance has like quote unquote left the city, but clerics and wizards go to his house.
Yep.
The clerics and wizards they've been seen after going to the house though.
Yes.
So we think like the son is probably there and super sick.
We can't confirm that.
Right, but and is his house the same building that we were in at the docks?
No. He has a very lavish apartment that's there, but his house proper is way up on the hill. Actually, not too far from Fwink's villa.
While we're NPCing Arwen, can we just decide that she would give me back the orange bag?
Yes.
Thanks.
Sweet.
Jack, have you been in on the email chain of the our plan for Kingfisher and whatnot?
Not exactly.
Okay, don't worry about it.
I've been.
Are we gonna do penalties to skill checks or anything, John?
I thought about that, and if you did not have any healing surges left, then yes, that would be penalties to your checks, because you would then be fighting on exhaustion. But because we're using healing surges as kind of a measure of fatigue, you guys you're not feeling great, but you're, as long as you're not at 0 healing surges, then you don't have any minuses.
Because of how, I rarely use them in combat, so I'm still at plenty of healing surges. So in that case, I guess I want to ask whomever I can, whether that's the king or whether one of his aides or something. I'm sure there's like records of the buildings. I'd like to find out what I can about Kingfisher's house. Like if there's blueprints or if there's, just the history of the building.
Sure. As a matter of fact, there are not like quality blueprints, but there are drawings of like some of the plans of how to build the house and things like that. So you have like it's not as detailed as a blueprint might be, but it has the various rooms layout and things like that. We'll say that it was a palace contracted builder who at the time was in charge of designing and building the villa, Kingfisher's villa.
I'd settle for just a map of the grounds, but yeah, if they've got rooms and things, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, I rolled very lucky for you to get this information.
Cool.
So yes, it's lovely and extensive, and and now you have a list of the rooms. We'll say it's, yeah, I don't know, 2 or 3 stories. If it becomes important later, I'll find a map.
You could even just use the same map as Barakht.
That's true.
That'd be funny. Same contractor bill.
Yeah.
I'll pore over those for a little while.
Okay.
Jack is eating.
Oh, very good. Valhalla. Elliot is looking at some scrolls and diagrams that one of the King's aides was able to fetch for him.
How's Murgatroyd? Is he fully healed?
Murgatroyd is looking better health-wise, but he's absolutely exhausted.
And Sublime, I'm guessing he's looking better now.
Yeah, Sublime's looking better. He actually had a night's sleep.
Oh, speaking of exhaustion, later we should do ritual to lift his energies.
Whose?
Murgatroyd's? Out of character. Jack has that ritual that lets him transfer healing surges from a bunch of people into one.
I think he cut it
communism. Oh, Jack has a ritual for transferring healing surges from multiple people to one person. So, yay, communism.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to do that. I don't know. Where are we right now? Like, which room? We're just in the throne room right now?
I would assume so. Maybe like the kitchen or something? Wherever
If we're in the kitchen, I guess I'm gonna get something to eat. But then I would like to sit down with Elliot and talk about a plan.
Yeah, man. Yeah. What are you thinking?
Well, as we discussed before, the old bait and bait.
Yeah. I'm interested in that. I think that we should get everybody back up to kind of full. I mean, is Murgatroyd still being tended to? Like, does he look still at 0 hit points?
He's no longer bloodied, but he is exhausted. So he's bandaged and everything like that, and he's sitting up in bed eating soup and drinking whiskey. But he's unless Jay shows up, Murgatroyd is going to be sitting in bed eating cookies.
Yeah, I think we should wait for Murgatroyd to be Murgatroyd and Vince to be with us. I think for that plan to go off, for it to even have a hope of working, we're going to need all hands on deck. I'm also intrigued of this this development with his son. I think if we can figure out what that's about, we can... I'm intrigued with this development with the son. I think that we should investigate that as well. I think we can do that in the meantime, while everybody kind of gets back up to full strength. In the meantime... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
With whose son? Whose son are we talking?
Oh, Kingfisher. In the talk with the king, we found out that his son went away, quote unquote, but he's got clerics and wizards coming to the house, and their specialties are healing dangerous magic. So I'm thinking that his son is sick with something, maybe possession, and if we can figure out what it is, we can use that as leverage somehow. Either, cure him or make him worse in order to get what we want.
That's an interesting suggestion. Yeah, I think that's a good move forward. I like your thinking.
Good. So I think that our best bet would be since his son still grew up in Lufa, we should investigate like whoever he went to school with whoever he went to school with. He probably has friends. Maybe like he's got a daughter. The son doesn't have a daughter. Kingfisher has a daughter. The son has a sister. We talk to the family, talk to whoever is friends of their family, and find out whatever we can about that.
Right. Well, where do we start?
I would say it's a shame that Kingfisher knows us personally and knows us in this capacity, because it would make sense for Valhalla Kazam or some businessman to go to his house and, talk business with him. But as it is, we're going to have to catch his family when they're not in the house, I'm guessing. So we should find out, ask around, find out where Kingfisher's kids went to school, who their friends might be, try and... John, did we find out how old Kingfisher and his wife and his son and his daughter are?
Kingfisher himself will say he's 50, and his wife will be younger, like 45. His son is 17, and his daughter is 15.
Oh, the daughter's 17?
The daughter is 15. The son is 17.
Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, I figure, yeah, so around having the daughter and the son being that close in age, they probably went to the same school. They probably have overlapping friends. We'd be able to find them. She's probably a Valhalla Kazam fan, so you could use that as leverage to find out stuff about her son, and I'll try and find out information from his friends.
But don't you think that that's a bit of a dangerous game? I mean, if we're playing with the family of a mob boss, I'm sure there's some sort of protection in place for when people are looking for their children.
Come on, Valhalla, I thought you were an adventurer.
Yeah, adventuring is one thing, but I'm not too keen on the mob.
Mobs, they're safer than goblins.
I beg to differ. I'd take a monster over the mob any day.
Alright, well, I mean, if you're too scared of one of your fans, you can investigate the friends of the family, and I'll talk to the family itself.
If you bring her to me, that's fine. I'll have a conversation. I just feel like chasing the children of a mob boss is probably a dangerous ordeal.
Hey, who's chasing? We're going around. We're gonna try and find out, where they're likely to be, and happen to be in the same place.
What about Jack? Who should Jack interrogate? Question.
Anyone with hands.
With hands? What?
Didn't you break Kingfisher's hand?
Oh, yes. And I also threatened someone's throat once.
When was that?
When Jack and Murgatroyd were getting the king out of the castle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've done a fair amount of interrogating in this town.
This is one town Jack will not be welcome back in.
Yeah. We may have to disguise you as a centaur or something.
That would be a good disguise.
Yeah, well, what's our...
So I think, I don't know, does anyone in the immediate vicinity know anything about the Kingfisher family? Like, are the kids in school? Does the wife have like a mahjong club or?
All right, you check the notes that the king left there. The children were privately tutored in the house, but they do have various social circles that they run in, as does the wife. Right, she is members of, we'll say some type of ladies auxiliary So yeah, there are places that the family goes outside of the house. However, in the notes, I'll say that it says they're usually accompanied by some type of protection.
I would hope so. Otherwise, this would be boring.
Ah, jeez.
According to the notes, traditionally Kingfisher is the only one who tends to go out without any type of bodyguard. He considers it a show of how tough he still is.
Mm,
Although that might change now.
yeah. Well, I mean, he did send a pretty clear message.
Well,
So those are the social circles and or the tutors. Do we know anything about tutors or the social circles?
Yeah, the tutors are, the tutors that are common to the families of means around, right? So the tutors' names will be listed there. We'll call them Pocket, Fig, and Darling. So 3 different teachers: Mr. Pocket, Mrs. Fig, and Mr. Darling.
how do we know all this?
There's a dossier. The king's been digging this up for us.
Oh.
And there's a list of a dozen or so friends that Belle has, as well as known places that she likes to go, and same goes for Victoria, the mother.
Okay.
Oh, and the son too.
But when he's not away.
When he's not away, yeah. So he has friends and different social things. We'll say that he's super into whatever the local sports game is, lacrosse.
But how long has he been gone for? Like sometime, and he doesn't come back or anything.
He's been gone for a month, so that's nothing in terms of a sea voyage.
Sorry, yeah, I thought it was he had been gone for like a year or more.
Nope.
Okay, well that's very promising. I guess it's find out about their friends' time. So, how do you want to do this, Valhalla? Do you want to split up or do you want to tag team this thing?
I guess if we must, I think maybe tag teaming would be the best.
Okay, let's get cleaned up then, and we'll go out for a fancy brunch in I don't know, somewhere in the market where Victoria or Belle might be known to go, where they would have people who know them for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, you put on fresh duds, give yourselves a shave, and maybe have a bath. Slap your face a little bit, wake yourselves up, and find your way down into town. Jack, are you going with them, or are you going to stay at the palace, or are you going to follow but at a discreet distance?
There's no such thing as discreet distance with Jack.
That's true, but I guess are you also going to go into the restaurant and sit down and order brunch, or will you, lean up against the building outside and keep an eye on the front of the place? It's hard for you to go unnoticed, but you don't necessarily have to go into the restaurant.
Yeah, I'll keep watch outside.
Okay, beauty. All right, so as you guys are walking into the city, now that the sun has come up a little bit higher and cast its shadow out over the water, because the sun rises behind this city. So the docks are one of the last places to get fully illuminated. But once the sun kind of hits down there, it starts to warm up, and more people start, opening up their shutters and letting in the warmth of the day. Although the businesses are up and running nice and early, they don't fully open up everything until the sun starts to shine in on these, even on these warm summer mornings. You see a bit of a crowd gathering down at one end of the docks, and two young men kind of push past you guys, and one says to the other, "Hurry up! If we're not there in time, we might not get on the contract." "Yeah, okay, I'm with you, man." And they run past you guys.
What do these guys look like?
They look like laborers.
But not like thugs?
Nope. No, they're wearing like heavy canvas breeches, maybe overalls. One of them has sawdust in his hair even.
I'll kind of swing around and tail these guys.
All right. You divert a little bit from the fancy restaurant that you were headed to, which we'll call the something. We'll come up with a name for it later. I'm so bad with names. Anyway, you follow them down to what is one of the largest buildings at the end of the dock. And in your brief tours and stuff around here, people have pointed it out that this is the master shipbuilders of Lufa. This is the place where people do their actual construction of these fantastic ships. And this place has been dormant for quite a while, but now there's life, and you can see people throwing open the shutters and some smoke coming out of the chimneys as there is, a crowd of people out front and several people standing on a balcony up above, cheering, and you can hear lots of activity, and it seems like something is definitely going on that is good news. And as you get closer, you overhear from various people that there's a new contract, that they're going to start building another ship, and it's been a while since a big ship has been built here. And the word on the street through all the buzz and everything like that is, make a streetwise check, please.
My guess is Marx is commissioning some massive ship.
Can we both make that check?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, and you should. Can I use my mob mentality to give him +2 to that?
Yes, you can. So it's interesting because, Elliot, you overhear that they're building a ship that is specifically designed to fight the Leviathan. That it will be fast and it will be strong, and it is going to be a ship of war. And Valhalla, you overhear that it's going to be a ship unlike any ship that's ever been built here. It's going to be one of the first ships that includes real magic built right into the ship, that they're going to be bringing in special ship mages and special new techniques and things that have never been attempted before are going to be attempted, that the shipbuilders here at I guess we should name the shipbuilding company. Who's got a name for the shipbuilding company?
A name for the ship?
Shipbuilding company.
Thrifty Ship.
Ships are us. Stan.
Burns Shipyard.
Burns Shipyard is the winner. All right, Burns Shipyard is going to be building a fantastic new vessel. And this is at the point where you hear all this information. You look up onto the balcony above, where there's several very, very nice dressed nobles and everything like that, and they have just, seems like they've just finished giving some great news to the crowd. And they turn around and they're all shaking each other's hands and patting each other on the back. And that's when you notice one of the figures up there getting patted on the back is Gryko, Marx's assistant. And Gryko has a big smile on his face. He finishes shaking an old man's hand, very wealthy, and his skin is that special old tan of someone who's lived all of his life outside and on ships, and now reached the venerable age of an old man. Shakes his hand heartily, smiles and bows a little bit, and then proceeds down a little catwalk down to the street.
I'll nudge somebody beside me and ask if they know who that nobleman guy is.
They kind of look and smirk at you, and they say, "Oh yeah, that's Old Man Burns. He runs this place."
Ah, interesting.
There are way too many angles going on at once in cities.
There's so much. There's so much happening here.
Anyone else miss Coke
Coke
Demon and orcs?
No, not at all. Not any amount.
All right. Once Gryko hits the street, he kind of, looks back and smiles one more time, nods to himself, a little self-satisfied nod, and then heads off down the street, back kind of towards where the bigger businesses are.
What do you think, Valhalla? Tail Gryko or continue on with the Brillig?
Maybe now is a better time to split up, if we must.
Okay, you've still got the other bag, right?
That I do.
Okay. All right, Jack. I don't have a good. I don't know what. I don't know what would be the better move for you.
I do.
I just rolled for Gryko to see if he spotted Jack in the crowd, and he crit failed, so he did not see Jack in the crowd.
Awesome. I'm gonna go into stealth mode and make sure that I have the bag and shadow Gryko.
Excellent.
I'm sorry. Since we got all spiffy dudsed up, I'm gonna. I thought it went without saying that I left my adventurer's kit at the palace, so I've just got what fits in my pockets essentially.
Sure.
I think Jack is going to try to stay on the street and keep on trying to pick up more information about what's going on.
Excellent.
Like, how did this get commissioned? Where did the funds come from? Who's building it? Who, specifically, where they're getting the material from? How are they getting around the Leviathan for shipping in material? All that fun stuff.
All right, make another streetwise check for me, please. And Valhalla, what are you going to do?
I'm going to, I guess, tail. I don't even remember his name, but the assistant, and just try. I don't try to stay hidden.
So you and Elliot are both tailing Gryko.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go to the fancy place. If you want to tail him, that's fine. I'll go to the fancy place. I have a lot of stealth points.
Oh yeah, whatever works. I don't have much stealth.
And you've got a high charisma and everything. I think you're gonna have a better time. Your call.
No, I'll go to the fancy place.
Cool.
Perfect. All right, Jack, unfortunately you don't find out any more information, but you are offered a job right away.
Could it be part-time job? Jack would not say no to part-time job.
They say absolutely. Just talk to our accountant team here, the head of HR. They'll take down your information, and when we actually start construction, which will be very, very soon, they want to get a jump on this. We'll contact you, and you can come in and do some labor for us. Do you have any experience with woodworking or sailcraft or rope making?
That's a good question. Would Jack have any experience with that?
It's your character, man. You can decide.
How did he get to this continent if he doesn't have any boat experience?
Oh, he sailed, but it's up to Josh whether Jack, spent his time on board ship actually learning how to fix and maintain a ship, or what he was doing.
I can see Jack as possibly having some experience with wood shaping, where he used to work in a mine, and sometimes he'd have to put in wooden support beams and all that, but not much else.
Excellent. So rough carpentry, that's fine. They're whatever, fella your size, rough carpentry skills, they'll put you to work planing logs.
Awesome.
All right. So who wants to go first, Elliot or Valhalla?
You can go first.
Sure.
Make a stealth check for me, please, Elliot.
Crit fail. Not bad.
No, quite good, actually. All right, you're able to follow Gryko undetected. As he's actually not looking over his shoulder too much. He's walking very head held high with a little bit of a skip in his step, as though he's just done something that he's very proud of. And he makes his way to the Bank of Anwire, the very large and marble columned bank that is located here in Lufa. And he goes in.
Me too.
All right, you slip inside, and you can see he goes up to one of the desks, not up to the row of tellers, but he actually goes up to like the make an appointment desk. He whispers something, just not 100% audible from where you are hiding back at the entranceway here. And then
Sorry, I was just gonna stride up and go to the teller. My game is that I'm just here checking on my account.
Oh, perfect. In that case, you hear him, I guess, maybe say a name like Mr. Krieg, and the person at the desk says, "Of course, sir," and gets up and steps away. Gryko then sits himself down in a chair and stretches his legs out. It's at this point that he reaches into his light jacket that he's wearing against the chill of the morning, and he probably will shed soon now that the sun's coming up. It's getting closer to noon. And he pulls out a heavy leather-bound envelope, and he starts drumming his fingers along it. He puts it up to sniff it for a second and then smiles at himself. The teller asks you, how can I help you, sir?
I just want to ask about some of the details of my account.
She says, certainly. May I see your account mark?
Yeah, and I'll roll up my sleeve.
All right. She produces the little scry reading device and rubs it over your tattoo. And then she looks at the information that comes up on the reading device. She says, just one moment, sir. She disappears for a second, and in incredibly short order, usually you're used to waiting much longer at the bank, Krieg comes, a gentleman who you assume is Mr. Krieg, a older and very, very wealthy-looking gentleman, comes out from behind the thing, who smiles, and he says, Grieco, it's wonderful to see you. He puts out his hand. Grieco gets to his feet, and he says, always a pleasure, Mr. Krieg. And he says, I have another deposit to make. And Krieg says, that's wonderful. I'd like to very much to go ahead and do that deal with you. Please come with me back to my office. And the two of them slip away through a heavy mahogany door, which closes soundlessly on felt pads behind them. The girl returns with a scroll that she's written down some notes on, and she says, here's your current account balance, whatever it is in the account sheet, and she says, as well as, previous deposits that have been made at other branches. She says, it looks like it's been a while since you guys have made any big deposits.
Yeah.
She says, have you thought about investing?
I have, and I'm very interested.
She says, oh, well, we can make it... Sorry. She says, we can make an appointment with one of our investment counselors to, you can come in and discuss possibilities of how to, invest this money properly and get some return.
That sounds great. I've been recommended to speak to a Mr. Krieg.
She smiles. She says, oh, Mr. Krieg is the branch manager. You actually have to speak to one of our investment representatives. It's only our, big heavy hitter clients that deal with Mr. Krieg directly.
I'll kind of give her like a sideways look, like, and sort of indicate my fine clothes and say, yes, I know, someone of my stature, I've been recommended highly to speak to Mr. Krieg directly.
Just out of curiosity, do you know off the top of your head what your guys' balance is?
Yes, hold on. 11,000, and my personal. I actually came to speak about my own account, which is also 11,000.
You have two accounts.
Well, I have a personal account and the Rod Stewart's account.
Oh, excellent. All right. She looks down at the amounts and then she smiles up at you and she says, "Well, you're certainly doing very well, sir, and I could ask Mr. Krieg if he has the time to see you, but I think at this point in your investment career, or at this point in your investment experience, it would be more likely that you'll be speaking with. She looks down her list and she says, Mr. Billings.
Mr. Billings.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Billings handles newer accounts, first-time investors.
Well, I mean, my part of why I wanted to speak to Mr. Krieg was that I have a lot of liquid assets.
She says, "Oh, that's interesting." She says, "Well, I can make a note and send him a memo, but at this time, the only person who I am authorized to make appointments for you to see is Mr. Billings or one of the other junior investment associates."
Let's see. Well, do what you can. I represent a very high-profile client who is staying in Lufa at this time, and my time is very valuable.
She says, "Oh, then you're not here for this account," and she, touches the piece of paper that has the Rod Stewart's and your personal account on it.
These are just some of the accounts I manage.
I see. Well, I require further account information to, book more appointments. But for the time being, she says, "Are you free on next Fortune's Day?"
Sure.
Perfect.
I know when that is.
Yes. So the days of the week are Avani's Rise, Lerme's Song, Seer's Fortune, Halen's Blessing, Billick's Terror, Kulrian's Wake, Nessie's Tears, and Avandri's Set. And pardon me?
Is that 8?
Yes, that's 8 days in the week.
Okay.
And they are, colloquially known as Rise Day, Song Day, Fortune's Day, Blessing Day, Terror's Day, Wake Day, Tears Day, and Set Day. So, Fortune's Day is in 7 days. That's when she can make an appointment for you with Mr. Billings.
Okay.
At his first appointment in the morning is at 11 o'clock.
And I'll sure, and I'll do my best to impress on her that a note for. Just to stress that I would prefer to speak to Mr. Krieg, but I'm sure I've already done that. And I guess I should go and make a...
She says, "Well, if you can tell me whose other accounts you manage, then that would help. Because at this point, these 2 accounts are not enough to bring to the attention of Mr. Krieg."
Well, this is a new venture. I represent Valhalla Kazam, and we're looking into bankrolling for his tour. And I'd like to do a bit of a bluff game here, where I talk about the investment of that business and starting to bankroll for future opportunities as his assets grow and change.
This almost never happens. She looks puzzled at you and she says, "Who?"
Valhalla Kazam. He's a notable musician. I'll give her a bit of a squint and look around if there's anybody behind me in line.
Yeah. One away from a crit fail on that one.
Wow.
I think that's the first time ever someone hasn't recognized Valhalla's name.
Then I'll go for then I'll double down on the bluff and impress upon her how. Oh, maybe that could. The fact that he is such a celebrity, would that give me any edge to this bluff roll?
No, because she has no idea who he is.
Right.
So you can go ahead and make a bluff roll.
Bonk.
She says, "Well, if you can bring this Valhalla Kazam in and open up an account, then perhaps he can make an appointment, or you can make an appointment on his behalf. However, because we do not have an account under that name at this time, I cannot help you." But if you come back on Songs Day and see Mr. Billings, he can not only give you some investment advice, but if you're also looking to get a loan to start a small business with musical enterprise with this Kazam person, then Mr. Billings can also help you with that.
This is hilarious. Oh man, I used to be good at this. All right, I'll say thanks.
You're very welcome, sir. Have a wonderful day. Are you going to split or hang about?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit in like one of the chairs, ideally not where I would be seen immediately by Gryko, and rifle through. I don't know if she gave me like the paperwork on the, like, if I got a little receipt of the balance and everything.
Yep.
I'll just pretend to read that while I watch for Gryko for a little bit. And if there's stationery at the bank, I'll grab like a sheet of that and send a message to Valhalla asking how he's doing.
Excellent. So Valhalla will get that message in that many minutes, which is another cool feature of using this clock as a tool. I put a little post-it note on, so when I advance the clock timer to that time, we know that Valhalla gets the message. Okay, excellent. Valhalla, you are standing out in front of
I
the...
think you just cut out.
Yeah, I cut out because I suck at thinking up fancy names for restaurants.
Ooh,
The Gourmet Garmond.
Perfect. You're standing outside of the Gourmet Gourmand.
Julie's.
Amore.
Julie's is... Amore. Perfect. Even better.
Nice.
So you're standing outside of Amore, which is a quite fancy restaurant down here on the wharf. Actually, one or two streets up from the wharf street itself. So actually beyond the smell of the harbor and into what is the most expensive shops and things in the area. And this is the place you've been directed to by the notes as to a place frequented by the Kingfisher family.
Okay. I'll go in. I'll try to be discreet, I guess.
All right. You enter, and right away the maitre d' steps up to you and says, "Oh, Monsieur Kazam! Oh, you honor us with your presence. Come, I find you table right away."
Very good. I prefer one in the back of the restaurant, if possible.
He says, "Oh, no, Mr. Kazam, you get a spot right in the window. A beautiful natural light. Best table in the house. I accept nothing less for Mr. Kazam."
Oh, please, we're trying to keep it low profile. You know how the fans are. Something that is a little bit more discreet, if you get my drift.
He kind of does a little shy smile and nods to you and says, "Of course, sir. I apologize for my forwardness. Right this way." And he leads you to a booth in the back of the restaurant that is unoccupied at this time.
Great. As I'm going through, I'm keeping an eye open for any Fisher families.
Yes, you're kind of looking around and you see a table over there. Oh my God! No one in the restaurant sees you. I rolled unbelievably bad, and then rolling for this table, they rolled a 1. So it's a gaggle of, we'll say, 6 teenage girls all sitting around this table enjoying a very fancy brunch that they do not have to pay for.
If no one sees him, he is never going to get served. You should not leave them a tip.
The maitre d' sees you, so he'll be sure that a waiter sees you, but I'm talking about the average patrons in the restaurant do not notice that Valhalla Kazam just walked in. And the table full of young girls, one of whom being Belle Kingfisher, does not see you, and you are led to your booth and you sit down.
Great. I'm just studying her right now, like trying to get as many details as I can just by watching them.
All right. Actually, the maitre d' sat you down on the wrong side of the table, so you have to kind of scoot around the booth. It's like a horseshoe-shaped booth, but you scoot around to the other side of the table, and now you're able to spy through some kind of potted ferns to keep an eye on Belle Kingfisher, who is looking pretty bored. Her friends are all happy and chatty about what's going on, but she seems to be that classic can't be pleased, spoiled brat teenager.
Lovely. How old is she again?
15.
Okay. Very good. Does she look sick?
No. Maybe a little pale, but not sick.
Okay. Is she wearing anything out of the ordinary?
She's wearing nice clothes. I'm going to say that make a thievery or streetwise check, please.
Alrighty, I will. I will make a streetwise. Oh.
You're pretty sure that like the small earrings that she's got on, as well as the light necklace, they are, they look like inauspicious jewelry, but your practiced eye and your experience with these things be like that is it's actually very expensive jewelry she's got on.
What color is the jewelry?
Clear. They're clear stones. And when they catch the light, they refract in brilliant rainbows.
Okay. And there's no boys with her, are there?
No, it's just a table full of girls. But that's a good segue to make your perception check, please.
Can do. Hey.
Excellent. Yes, you can see sitting at a table right by the door is two slightly thuggish-looking men, and they're both drinking just water. That's all there is on the table is just water. They don't have any food, and they are keeping, a pretty steady watch on this group of girls.
Okay. And what's the distance between them and these girls?
Maybe 30 feet. The girls are at a nice table up in the window, and these guys are down by the door, so they could close the distance very, very quickly if they had to, but they're not in, if the girls were whispering, the men at the table couldn't hear them.
All right, very good. Do I sense any arcana in the air?
Make an arcana check, please.
Can do.
Okay, you start singing your song. I forget the name of the song to detect arcana. But you're singing it low under your breath, and the restaurant's pretty busy here at brunch time, so I'm going to see. No, nobody really hears you over the hubbub that's going on. You sense a few kind of little background magics in and around the restaurant, maybe a similar cleaning spell to the one that Elliot has on his clothes, but you can also sense some other type of magic that is coming from both of these two men guarding them. There's, you get a little bit of arcane glow coming from something underneath their coats. They're heavier suit jackets, which look almost too warm for this summer's morning that's getting hotter by degrees.
Underneath their coats, okay. Well, are any of them sort of facing me at all?
Any of the girls?
No, the men.
No, they're paying more attention to the group of girls, and they're sitting facing directly at each other, and one guy is always looking over the other guy's shoulder at the table full of girls, and the other guy is kind of taking turns watching the door and sometimes leaning to look out the small window that's by the door, but they look bored, pretty much.
Right, and none of their chests are pointed in my direction.
No.
Okay. All right, very good. Where is the washroom from here?
It's far from your table. The maitre d' would not sit someone of your prestige close to the washroom.
Right, and then would I need to cross paths with anyone in order to get to it?
Yes, there are other patrons sitting around the restaurant that you'll have to walk past their tables. You will also have to walk past the doors that go into the kitchen in order to get to the bathroom from where you are.
Would I walk past the girls or the gaze of these broody men?
No.
in doing so, would I be able to see the chests of these guys?
Yes. If you walk to the bathroom, you would have a chance to get a better look, front-wise, of these two men.
All right, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to be stealthy about it. And I kind of want to see what they're wearing and if it looks like armor or if it's giving off any glow.
In order to sense if it's magical, you have to actively be doing an Arcana check, which means you have to actively be singing. So when you are, it's one of the things. Like doing an Arcana check, people know that you're doing an Arcana check.
Right, but I'm not looking to detect Arcana. I'm just using my eyes to see, oh, are they wearing armor? Are they wearing anything out of the ordinary?
Okay, yeah, that you'll be able to tell. But as soon as you stop singing your "Give Me That Sweet Sweet Magic" song, then all the arcane glows stop being perceivable to you.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, you get up and move surreptitiously to the washroom if you'd like. Make a stealth check.
Can do.
Oh,
Nice.
nice one. I was saying in my mind, don't crit fail, don't crit fail, don't crit fail. You managed to make it to the washroom without being detected at all, and you get a good look at the two of these guys. I'm going to say that even with a crit, one of them kind of adjusts and stretches, and you catch the look of a stock of a hand crossbow underneath his jacket before he adjusts, and the jacket falls back down, covering it.
Okay, very good. Well, in that case, then, I'll after you go into the washroom, I'll just return to my table and wait to see if any of the parties make a move.
All right. When you sit back at your table, a waiter comes up to you and says, "Can I take your order this morning, sir?" And then he looks around a little bit nervously, and he blushes for a second, and he says, "I'm not supposed to do this, but I just want to say I'm a really big fan."
I give him a pleasant and polite smile and nod, and say, "Yes, I'll take a look at the drink menu."
Of course, sir. He hands you the menu.
I'll get a glass of whatever the finest wine is.
Of course, Mr. Sam. Whatever you like. He says, "Anything to eat, or did you want some more time with the menu?"
More time would be great.
Of course, sir. Of course. And he slips away, smiling again, and looks back over his shoulder again, just to make sure that you're still really there. All right. The other two parties continue much as they did before. The girls just kind of lounging there, bored. The waiter brings you back your glass of wine and asks you if you're ready to order.
No, not yet. I think I'll just stick with the wine for now.
He says, "Very good, sir. You just you signal me if you need anything, please. My name is Tim."
Of course, Tim. Thank you.
He smiles and laughs at you actually saying his first name, and disappears. So after a bit of time pass, we never really established what it is. The tonal sensation, a shift in the arcane register, lets you know that there has been something passed through the bag.
We should do Arcana checks to change the ringtone.
All right, I'll check my bag.
All right, there's a note from Elliot. What does the note say, Elliot?
That I tailed, what's his name? Gryko to the bank and am following him here. How are things on your end?
I'll write back. I'm sitting here. I have eyes on the Kingfisher daughter. She's with a group of friends and is guarded by two goons armed with magic crossbows, waiting for them to make a move.
Sorry. I guess I can't respond. But can you repeat that just so I can read it once more? Just it sounds like either you're waiting to make a move or the guards are waiting to make a move. So how did you phrase it?
I said I'm in the restaurant. I have eyes on the Kingfisher daughter. She's with a group of friends and is being under the close watch of two goons that are armed with magic crossbows. I'm waiting for any party to make a move.
I'll just write back goons or guard or goons or her guards ?
Kingfisher goons guarding her, I presume.
Mm.
I assume that these are her bodyguards. I will add to that note.
I'll write back. Has nobody recognized you? Are you not mobbed with autograph seekers?
I took care of it.
LOL.
So that's not happened to there. So we'll stick here. So after another 10 minutes or so, nobody's made a move. The girls are all just sitting around chatting. It seems like they're enjoying a long, leisurely brunch that might turn into a lunch. The waiter keeps bringing them over drinks and other various snacky foods. At this time, the waiter comes over and puts down a plate of various seafoodish themed appetizers in front of you and says, Mr. Kazam, I know you didn't order anything, but these really are the chef's specialty, and it was his honor to prepare them for you. Please enjoy them as with our compliments.
I'll say, thank you very, very much, but I'm actually I'm allergic to seafood. I think I'll pass. I do appreciate it, though.
He looks shocked and says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mr. Kazam. I didn't know. Please, I apologize."
I put my hands up. I'm like, no, it's fine kind of expression, but don't say it. Why not?
Very good. He picks up the plate and once again apologizes and bows and disappears. Moments later, the maitre d' reappears with a bottle of the wine you were drinking and says, "Oh, Mr. Kazam, I would just like to further apologize for any confusion. We had no idea about your specific food allergies. Please enjoy this bottle of wine on the house. And thank you very much for coming to our establishment this morning."
I'll say, the pleasure's mine.
Oh,
and pour myself a fresh glass.
Of course. Thank you, sir. If there's anything else you require, please don't hesitate to ask for it.
Of course.
So a further 10 minutes pass, and once again, the girls don't seem to do much. One of the girls gets up and goes to the washroom, and she might notice you. She's going to notice you unless you take preventative measures, like hold the menu up in front of your face or slouch down in your seat or something.
I'll do that immediately.
Okay, perfect. I was just wanted to know if you wanted her to notice you or not. Perfect. All right, Elliot, back in the bank. You hear some hearty and joyous laughter as the mahogany door swings open again, and Gryko steps out. This time holding a we'll say he's got like a very heavy and fancy looking briefcase made out of iron or steel. Anyway, it looks very expensive and shiny and durable. And what's your passive, or actually just make an active perception check for me, please.
Nice.
You can see that there is some type of tether, it's hard to see at this distance, that's going from the briefcase up the sleeve of his jacket. He smiles once more and reaches out and shakes Krieg's hand, who smiles and says, No, the pleasure is all mine. Please come back any time. It's always wonderful doing dealings with yourself and of course Mr. Marks. This is do pass on my well wishes to him, and enjoy yourself. Have a wonderful day. Gryko nods and he says, "Thank you once more," and he heads towards the door.
I'll give him a second, and then get up and tail him out.
All right. What was your stealth check before for tailing him?
25.
Okay, we'll let you continue on with that stealth check. So yeah, you slip out into the street once more, and as before, he seems to be so full of self-satisfaction and just really pleased with himself that he's not looking around too much. He lets the heavy metal briefcase swing jauntily by his side as he.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
How heavy does it look? Does it look like he's like painting himself to hold it up?
It looks fairly heavy, but not to the point of painting himself.
Okay.
He so it has a little bit of swing by his side, right? It's not, when you're carrying something super heavy, it doesn't move at all, and you just kind of droop that shoulder and let it kind of rub against your thigh as you walk. But this looks, it looks heavy, but not like he can't walk a long distance with it in his hands. He is not walking a long distance, though, because he quickly descends back down to the level of the docks and proceeds away, this time from the shipbuilding area, down past where the big warehouses are, to the area of the docks that is dominated by the large slapdash kind of corrugated buildings that are the warehouses, the area of the docks that is a little more deserted.
So it'll be harder to tail him in there.
It will be, yes.
What's past the warehouses, or does it end there?
Past the warehouses is kind of where the docks peter out, but I'm going to say because of your previous time spent in Lufa, you know that the very last thing at the end of the warehouses here is the docks where the dwarven barges come out from their underground kind of cavern area and dock.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep tailing him that way.
Excellent. So once you get into the warehouse area proper, we will require another stealth check.
Yes. No.
Is that happening like right now?
Girl. Yes.
Oh, balls. I'm yikes. Crit fail. If he is gonna like turn around and spot me, I'll just like nod to him and kind of just walk past. Okay.
Crit fail. Oh, that's unfortunate. So yeah,
Very.
I'm going to say that you reach a point where he kind of stops very suddenly and turns around, and you desperately search for some place to jump into and hide, but unfortunately, there is nothing. You've got bare walls and bare walls and flush door jams in front of you, and you find yourself standing out in the open. You're going to do that thing where you catch a stance and your hands out, you're desperately searching around, and he turns around and he looks right at you.
I'd like to just like give him a nod and just keep walking like like I'm headed to the dwarven barge. Like I'm gonna play it off like I'm not following you. This is just a weird coincidence. Do you want a bluff check?
Yes, please. All right. He gets incredibly defensive as soon as he sees you, and backs right up against the wall himself, lifts the briefcase up kind of to his stomach and protects it with the other hand as he's holding it. And he looks at you kind of up and down, and he says, I'm sorry, what was the name that you gave here in Lufa?
Leo.
Last name?
Stotch.
Leo Stotch, right. He says, Mr.
Butters.
Stotch.
I'll give him a nod. Are we like is it all deserted around here?
No. There is a group of 3 other laborers, I'm going to say, down to your right, and they're currently working on stacking some barrels.
I'll look at him like he's the one being weird.
All right. He kind of looks at you and he says, "What brings you down here?"
Like a shake of that, like I don't know what this guy's problem is, and I light up a cigarette and keep walking towards the dwarven barge area.
Okay. He watches you go and just doesn't move until you kind of reach the end of the dock, which has a slight curve to it. So once you get to a certain point, you're going to lose line of sight on him.
Yeah, I would hope so.
All right, you get down to the dwarven dock area, which of course at this time is deserted because the dwarves have not been coming out of the mountains lately. And you just kind of curse yourself, flick your cigarette out into the bay.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
But I will say that standing here at the very end of the dock and kind of looking back towards the warehouses, you see that the very last warehouse in the line, which is quite run down, it looks like it has been repaired recently, but very slapdash and kind of haphazardly. Your eye is caught by the sun glinting momentarily off the red glass of a lantern that's hanging by the big kind of bay doors on the back of this warehouse that faces out into the water.
Ooh, in this very last one?
In the very last one, yes.
If I take a quick look back, I don't see him anymore, do I?
No.
Okay. Anyone else around at this part?
No. Those three guys must have cleared out, or they're not in your line of sight anyway. A gull cries off in the distance. It's a pretty calm day. The water's gently lapping at the pilings. Oh, did we lose Jake? Check.
Did I lose you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The lantern is on the outside or the inside of the warehouse?
The outside. You cannot see inside the warehouse.
It's got no windows or anything?
The windows have mostly been broken and then boarded up. The only windows that are left are quite high on the sides, and there's nothing really outside here to climb up. This warehouse is one that's built on the dock itself, and it's kind of hard to see from where you are, but if it's like the other ones, you can imagine that the side that faces the water has great big doors that would allow a smaller ship to pull directly into this warehouse. And yeah. The only other door is I guess there'd be a man-sized door on the dock side, as well as a big kind of loading door that slides to one side.
Okay. I'll
maybe even one of those doors that's high up on the second story with like a winch thingy.
I can't use the high up on the winch on the second story is over the water.
No, it's over the dock area.
But it's not attached to anything, so I couldn't use it to climb up.
No, it's just hanging there with a bare pulley, so there's no rope or anything.
Okay. I'd like to just press an ear up to whatever would be a door or a window just to listen inside.
All right. Yeah, when you get up to the door, which you can see has a heavy padlock on it, you press your ear up to it, and I just say maybe you can hear like soft voices inside, pleasant talking, maybe a few notes on a concertina.
A concertina?
Yeah, a tiny accordion.
I see. There we go. Man, okay. I'm bummed I crit failed on that roll. I guess I'll just head back down the docks towards where. So wait, it's kind of like a dead end, right? Like in theory, I could find myself a little hidey hole and watch for Gryko to come out. In theory.
In theory, yeah, there are places to hide.
Ooh. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to find a kind of hidey hole place, and ideally one where I could keep this warehouse in view in case this is the warehouse that Gryko went. I guess I'd know if this was the warehouse that Gryko went into. I walked quite a ways past him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'd like to, I guess, head some way back down the dock, sort of to where I spotted him, and keep an eye out for him. Do you want a stealth check for me making hiding, or a perception check to watch for him, or anything?
I want a stealth check for you making hiding.
Here comes another crit fail. Ooh.
20's pretty good.
I'll use my my boots to add 2 to that, so 22.
Excellent. All right, so yeah, you use your boots to secure yourself a spot, maybe a little higher up on a stack of crates or on a fire escape, and find yourself a little bit of cover so you can hide well. I got a 2 on his perception check to see people. That's going to be a fail. Would you like to bump it down to a crit fail?
Oh, that's tempting. I don't know what that would give me. I guess it'd just be he'd be likely brazen with some kind of information. Sure, why not?
All right, so scratch off that bump point. And yeah, after a short time, I'm going to advance the old clock here. He comes with that turned into a crit fail. Once again, brazenly walking down the gangway. He's whistling to himself with a very satisfied look on his face. He walks up to the door and raps on it quite loudly, and you can hear a muffled voice from outside, to which he responds, "Silver swordfish skipping shiny in the sunlight." And then he produces a key and unlocks the padlock from the outside, and you hear the sounds of someone unlocking doors from the inside, to which the point the door is opened.
Whoa! For which warehouse?
For the last warehouse, the one with the red lantern.
Oh shit! And he still has the briefcase?
He still has the briefcase.
I'm just making a note of that.
All right.
Silver swordfish skipping shiny in the sunlight?
Yep.
Done.
All right, he steps inside, and a grisly pirate face kind of looks out very quickly and casts an eye up and down the street up and down the gangway before closing the door behind him, and you can hear locking mechanisms clap shut on the inside.
Okay, well, I want to watch and see if a boat leaves from this warehouse for at least a few minutes.
All right, you watch for, let's say, 15 minutes. Is that enough? Or are you gonna
I'd say 20, like 20 to 30, and I'll send another note to Valhalla saying, like, tail Gryko to a warehouse connected to Leviathan, found password for access. How are things there?
Excellent. So Valhalla, in this time, you get the sense that the girls are kind of wrapping up. At one point, the waiter comes over to ask them for something like that, and they all decline. They're finishing their drinks, and you can see that the two thuggish dudes kind of collect themselves and brush themselves down. One of them actually gets up and goes over to talk to the maitre d', who smiles very pleasantly and presents him with the bill, to which the gentleman then just nods and takes it and puts it in his pocket, and the maitre d' nods and smiles. And you get the note from Elliot.
Okay. What's the note say?
The note says, I trailed Gryko to a warehouse connected to the Leviathan. How are things there?
All right, I'll quickly write, Fisher daughter and guards are making a move. I'm going to try to tail them.
Well, I'll write back. Sounds good. No, I'll write either tail or introduce yourself, say you have a show, maybe be sneaky about it. Oh, I don't know. I'll scratch that out. I'll say, sounds good.
So you've been down here for about an hour, talking with different people, but because you're a Minotaur, not a lot of people really want to chat with you or give you, important information. You do gather once again that this is a very complicated build. By the time you're finished, you have noticed or heard through the rumor mill that they've hired more people than they usually hire to build these ships, and they're looking specifically for very detail-oriented craftsmen, people who can work with the very rigorous demands of these mages who are going to come in and do something very special with this ship. This is going to be a unique and very large and important build, something that will change the way ships are built in the future.
Well, to be frank, building with magic specifically built in would be a big innovation. So that kind of makes sense.
It's true. There's a bit of, I'm going to say, not confusion, but more like awe or perplexed nature as to why all of a sudden this this contract has become open. Like people are wondering, oh, I wonder what happened, what changed Burns's mind, what brought this to his attention.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit for me there. What changed when people were saying something changed Burns' mind?
All right, did Josh hear me?
I did, and I was wondering that too.
Yeah, that's all that's important. If you want to try and ask around a little bit more, that'll be another streetwise check for you.
Sure, I'll ask around if, like, it had been proposed before and he had been resisting, that kind of thing.
Okay, go ahead, streetwise check, Jack.
Oh, I see. So yeah. So he's been.
Well, to be frank, I rolled a 3, then a 2. This is the one. Next one should be a 20.
All right. I'm gonna say that you actually get insulted, and people are just like, damn foreigners coming here trying to take all of our jobs. Get out of here, you beef wit.
Do I roll to see if my feelings have been hurt?
It's up to you whether your feelings are hurt or not. It was a pretty poor insult.
My feelings are not hurt.
I didn't think so.
I've heard worse from dwarves.
It's true. But the general vibe now is that people don't want to talk to the Minotaur.
All right, I'm going to go to another part of town. Know what? I'm going to try to head to a part of town where craftsmen normally gather, like fine woodworkers and so on, and see if maybe there was something, what the word is on the street there instead, because obviously down by the docks I'm not welcomed anymore, but...
All right. As you kind of leave Burns's shipyard area and walk back along the pier, you look up to see two thugs that you pretty quickly recognize as Kingfisher's thugs, and they look up and they see you, and one of them immediately throws down his cigarette and he shoves his buddy and he says, "There he is. This is what do we do? Well, you go get some more guys. I'll follow him." And then he tries to act nonchalant.
Whereabouts is he, if I may ask?
He's like 15 feet away from you.
Like, along the side of the street?
Along the side of the wharf. You're down on the wharf.
Like, right by the water, or near, like, closer to the building half of the wharf?
Oh, he's right by the water. He's trying nonchalantly to lean up against a piling that's sticking up there on the edge of the wharf and trying to light a cigarette while not being obvious at staring at you.
Okay, I'm going to pretend to ignore him and then try to lose him in the streets.
Excellent. How would you like to try and lose him? Are you going to try and draw a crowd around you, or are you going to try and just slip away through the streets, which would be like either bluff, streetwise, diplomacy? Do you want to use acrobatics or athletics to try and leap over some walls and stuff? How would you like to try and lose this guy? This is what I'm driving at.
I'm going to try to, like, slip through the streets, down back alleys, over walls, that kind of thing, using athletics where possible, like for going over walls.
All right, so we're going to say that it is... Ooh, nice. Athletics. You nail the athletics roll. And then there'll be two more. So make an athletics, a streetwise, and a perception check. Oh, God. Oh, Jack, that's unfortunate, man. You are just rolling really bad today. So your athletics check is great, but your streetwise and perception is not so good. So you essentially what that means is you stumble into several blind alleyways, but just through sheer strength, you leap over walls and climb up onto rooftops to get to evade. Unfortunately, because of your lack of ability to locate shortcuts and you don't know your way around the streets very much, he is able to follow you.
Okay, I'm going to go around a corner as though, I'm still trying to evade him. and then I'm going to grab him when he gets around the corner.
Beauty, yeah. He does. He comes, running around the corner and runs straight into you, we'll say.
You are not stealthy. Go home.
He kind of stops.
And I'm trying to intimidate him
Yeah,
here.
he's startled and looks up at you. Make an intimidation check, please. He's momentarily nonplussed by the sudden appearance of the Minotaur, who grabbed him by the lapels and barks an order to his face. But he smiles and he tries to step back from you. Do you hold him or do you let him step away?
I'm holding him, and then I'm going to headbutt him.
All right, so just before you headbutt him, in the moment after you say, go away, he says, oh, Mr. Kingfisher's looking for you, pal. And now make your attack. You're kidding me, right?
There's no way.
Like, really?
You just rolled 3 critical fails in the last 6 rolls. In the last 6 rolls, 3 of them were crit fails. What is going on here?
That's insane. That's not possible.
I
can't be mad at that. That's hilarious.
It's pretty funny. So I'm gonna say that you just you go to headbutt him, but you suck at it, and you actually
it ends up being a kiss.
Yeah.
which is surprising because you have horns.
Yeah. So you end up just kind of letting him go and shoving him back a little bit, and you take a step backwards as well, and he kind of doesn't know what to make of that. But he kind of looks at you, with his head on a slant, and he says, I'd like to tell you that if you come with me now, we'll go easy on you, but Mr. Kingfisher does not want to go easy on you, sir.
We already know that. Like, you telling me that he's looking for me, it was literally a waste of your time.
He says, look, you don't make a scene, you come with us, let us rough you up. Maybe we go easy on your friends.
Yeah, no. And I'm going to go back out into the street, but this time sticking with crowds and, somewhere with people so that they can't just, grab me.
Excellent. And you're quite lucky because you're quite lucky when I roll, not so lucky when you roll. You step out into the street, and the reinforcements are nowhere to be seen. But this guy continues to follow you everywhere you walk. All right, Elliot, after waiting for about 15 or 20 minutes, the door opens, and Greco steps out again. You can see he's smoking a thick black cigar, which he then takes out of his mouth and ashes. Turns back in and waves goodbye and says, it's been interesting, gentlemen, but this will be the last time you see me.
Shit.
He says, good luck and farewell. Don't miss. He laughs and puts the cigar back. You hear, laughter from inside as well, from several hearty throats. And the door closes. You can hear the sound of locking, and then he takes the heavy padlock that was hanging from a hook outside here, puts it back on the door, closes it, locks it with the key that he has on, puts the key back in his pocket, and then draws deeply from the cigar and exhales it up into the sky, and gives himself a little victory fist bump, and skips away down the... he also does not have the briefcase anymore. Skips away back down the wharf.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll keep ailing him now, for sure. My guess is that he's headed back to the palace.
Yes, you slip down from your hiding spot, and it's very easy at this point. He moves quickly and with purpose back to the palace. About halfway along, he tosses away the end of the stogie that he was smoking, and kind of straightens himself out. Stops perhaps at a small patisserie and grabs a little fancy Danish or something that which he enjoys, and wipes the powdered sugar onto a handkerchief, which he puts back in his pocket, being careful not to soil his very nice clothes. But he makes his way back up to the palace, which takes about just a little over half an hour. All right, Valhalla.
It's okay however long it takes. I'm gonna send a message to Valhalla, and doors are gonna open here in 10 minutes, so I'll likely have to bounce and pretty soon.
Okay, perfect. Then yeah, just yeah, perfect time for Valhalla to just get back. So yes, we'll say that you send a message to Valhalla just as the gaggle of teenage girls gets up and begins to leave the restaurant. So Valhalla, after about 15 more minutes, they have finally wrapped up their meal and they're prepared to leave. And you get another message from Elliot.
What's the message say?
The message will say the final payment from Marks to the Leviathan has been made. The hit could happen at any time now. And I'm headed back to the palace.
Okay. Oh, shit. Well, wow.
Yeah.
While reading the note, I'll just kind of sip my wine and try to think of what I should do. I'll write a note back. Do you need me to abandon mission and come give you a hand?
Not yet. Keep the bag handy. If you see any party members, send them to the palace.
I draw a crude thumbs up and send that through the...
All right.
Valhalla's sending dick pics.
That's a very crude thumbs up then. Yeah, the girls and the two thug bodyguards exit.
Okay. I will follow them stealthily.
All right, make a stealth check, please. Beauty, nice one. So you're momentarily waylaid as you begin to exit by the maitre d' once more approaching you, saying, "Thank you very much, Mr. Kazam, for dining with us this morning. We do hope you enjoyed yourself, and we'll speak favorably of our restaurant in the future. Please come again anytime. You are most welcome."
I'll give him a friendly smile.
Excellent. You slip out into the street, and you begin to follow. Let's see if the bodyguards spot you. No, they do not. Let's see if anybody in the street spots you. Yes, they do. So you go about half a block before some guy who's selling, we'll say, nuts and dates from a cart. He says, Hey, aren't you Valhalla Kazam? You are. Oh, everyone, look, it's Valhalla Kazam.
Jesus.
That's what we wanted.
All right, I'll try to blend in with the crowd. I'll run into a crowd.
All right, make a streetwise check, please. Yeah, you slip into a crowd of people who all at the same time look toward the nut and date vendor, so they don't notice you slipping into the crowd. However, the nut and date vendor notices you slipping into that group of people, and he calls back to you. He says, Mr. Kazam, Valhalla, please come. I have some special gift basket just for you, sir.
Doesn't matter. I'll keep running through the crowd and trying to disguise myself.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, I say, would you like to keep that 12 or roll again on your streetwise or make a thievery check to try and disguise yourself better?
Oh, I'll roll again on that 12.
Okay, make another streetwise check, please.
There we go.
There, that's better. So with that momentary distraction, you're able to, grab a white sheet from somewhere and quickly whip it around yourself and pop it up over your head like a hood and slip Assassin's Creed style behind some monks that were walking down walking through the market square and disguise yourself. However, you have momentarily lost sight of the young Kingfisher girl. Make a perception check for me, please, DC 16. You pick up her trail very quickly, and it's not too long before they kind of veer off and start heading up towards where the wealthier houses are, which you recognize as being the direction towards Foink's villa and quite possibly her home.
All right. I guess I'll try to kind of hide and stake it out a bit.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you continue kind of stealthing along, using judicious use of this robes and ducking in and out of hidey holes. As you make your way up into the richer part of town, there are more, stone walls and things to hide behind and corners to duck away from. You do not draw any more attention to yourself. And you reach the Kingfisher Estates, which is quite extensive and lovely. It is all brilliant white stone and a lot of big carved circles. Like, it's all very round. And flying above the open gates is a beautiful wrought iron with gold leaf kingfisher bird stretched out wide.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to keep watching it for now just to see if anyone exits or enters.
All right. You just gonna take up post there? Would you like to try and slip inside the walls, the gates, or climb up and get a better look inside the compound, or just watch the front door?
No, sure. I'll slip inside the gates.
All right. That'll be another stealth check, please.
Alrighty. Stealth is not my forte.
There's an alleyway nearby if you want to go there and try and climb up the walls and peek over instead of trying to slip in the front gates.
No, because athletics and acrobats are even less my forte.
Yeah, but you can fly.
Oh shit, I can fly.
And you
Thank
have
you.
spider climb boots too, don't you?
Yeah, I do have those. But yeah, let's go over and fly over the wall.
All right. So you slip down an alleyway to a side area. When you get down here, you can see a heavy door kind of locked in the side area here, but you can see by traces of hay and a little bit of muck, and you can smell horses. So you must be by the stables. You fly up and over and land next to where the stables are and where the coaches are kept, and you can see two very impressive looking coaches that are all white with the big golden kingfisher symbol on them, and parked next to them is a much sleeker black lacquered coach with heavy black curtains on all the windows, and adorned on the crest of this coach is the family seal of the Barak house.
The Barak?
Yeah.
What?
Do I know the Barak?
If you don't recognize that name, then no. You just kind of look at it puzzled.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man.